we got ourselves a scratched mirror game on the Gideon meatpacking plant. Scratched mirror game basically is just Michael locked to tier 1, and when he tries to perv or uses voyeuristic skills, he can see where people are. So if I hold down the right mouse button, for example, I will be able to see through walls within, I think it's a 36 meter range, and see where people are. And of course Gideon, which is one of the better maps for a tier 1 Michael. A lot of people don't like playing tier 1 Michael, but it can be fun. I've been playing a lot of them recently. I spent like 2, maybe 3 million blood points a couple of months ago, getting as many scratched mirrors as I could, just so I wouldn't have to worry about trying to find them in the blood web when I wanted to pull out tier 1 Mikey. But as you can see, I'm just stalking people at the moment, seeing who's on their own, just checking whether or not they're going to try and gen rush me. But this was a bit of a meme squad. I don't know if you've ever played Dead by Daylight, but meme squads can be kind of hit or miss as they are in most games. Sometimes they can be extremely funny, other times a little bit cringe. Not really sure where this team falls, to be honest. But we've got ourselves a Jack here. He's the only one that seems to be actively looking for me, I think. I don't believe he was looking for a gen at all. He was just looking to see where I was. And as you will see later, he was the only one on the team that actually really contributed much of anything. So yeah, probably not the best example of doing well on a Michael game, but again, it's a very Swift heavy night. And I just wanted to have a little bit of fun. Again, Swifts being stacks. A group of players playing together, most likely in voice chat. So I wanted to try and grab that Bill off the generator, but that wasn't happening. Bill here just seems to be wanting a bit of a beating. Not really sure why. The one thing I would say to survivors is if the killer doesn't seem to be in the mood for just messing around, just play the game as it was intended to be played. The Bill seems to be the only one in the match that was like this. The other three, well, for the most part, he started off a little bit dopey, but picked it up towards the end. But mainly I just wanted to record and show you guys a tier 1 game, because I believe they can be very fun. There's not much horror in Dead by Daylight, which is surprising seeing how it's a horror survival game. I would argue that it's not really much of a... I mean, survival is the main objective, but it's not in the sense of other... in a similar sense how most other survival horror games play. And you can see that Michael's stalking ability here really does come in useful. One thing I will say to you, if you do like playing Michael and you don't find yourself being very successful with these scratched mirror runs, is let them come to you. You can see where they're going, as long as you're within range. Watch to see what they're doing. If they're a little bit skittish and they keep running back and forth, they're not really sure what to do. I mean, look at this. Watch. Oh, didn't get him. Trying to push him back and block him from the gen. And now I could just follow him constantly, and a chase with tier 1 Michael isn't good. He's a lot slower than he is in tier 2 or 3. So I did stalk him here. I don't really mind if they're going to be going for the heal, because obviously they've got 0 gens done at this point. The Jack at this point is the only one doing a gen. And spoilers, they do only get a single gen done, if I remember right. But yeah, he wasn't really going to move much there. And the one thing I will say as well to killers, especially... It's more specific to, I guess, this gameplay style here with tier 1 Michael, with the scratch mirror, when you can see what they're up to. You don't need to push the initiative like I was saying earlier. You can afford to wait. Like that Bill, I was watching him for a while, realised that it really doesn't matter if Nurse Ratchet or whatever her name is, Nurse Joy, healed up the other Bill. He was going to have to make a move at some point. He was standing there waiting for me that long that I think he just kind of forgot about me for a while, which is how I got him. Bringing Bill down to the basement here. Some extra points. I really do enjoy putting people on the Scourge hooks though. They're the white highlighted ones on the map. I'm using 2 Scourge hooks right now. I know one of them is Pain Resonance. I can't remember what the other one is. I'm looking for the Jack right now. There he is. I'm pretty damn surprised this door frame blocked me there and hid me as well as it did. Hello, Jack. Lovely hairstyle. He's so stylish as Jack, isn't he? He's going to run for this pallet to try and stop me. Just watching to see what he does. And that was his mistake. He did have Leaf on though, so that was good for him. But he's about to make his biggest mistake in the match, which is dropping down. Dropping down slows you down considerably. So, if you've got a healthy lead on a killer, don't do it. I don't know about other killers, but whenever I see someone dropping down somewhere, whenever they have the lead, it's just a sigh of relief because I know that I can get them. Okay. The Bill and Nurse Joy are healing each other. I honestly can't remember her name. I played more of Silent Hill when I was a teenager and a kid than I did Resident Evil. Silent Hill was nightmare fuel for me when I was like 8 or 9. But I never remembered her name. There's Bill out, I think. And at this point the Jack just gave up. You see, that's the thing about Tier 1 Michael. You can dominate if you play it right. It's kind of counterproductive to what you would do on most killers, where you'll go after them. You'll initiate the chases and see them through until you're able to down them. But with a Scratched Mirror build, you can be somewhat aggressive. But your lack of speed and the lack of lunge range on your melee attack is just... It kind of sucks trying to decide here whether it's worth going for a white hook, but then I realised nobody else is working on Jen, so not really. And the Jack decided a little bit too late there to wiggle as well. He didn't wiggle. He didn't wiggle until he was about halfway through the carry. And there's Joy going through a locker. She got herself a flashlight. Well done. This is, of course, the pallet that the Jack used earlier. Of course, I couldn't have done it earlier, otherwise I wouldn't have caught him. Again, not following her directly, using my supposed handicap to cut her off. Nice dead hard there as well, although she trapped herself. She should have used the pallet there. But hindsight and all that. I've had quite a few good games on Tier 1 Michael recently. It is, I will say this, if you go against the Swift who are very, very good, like very good and they know what they're doing, or not even very good, sorry, if they're moderately good and are using teamwork, and once they realise that you're Tier 1, they should just jump onto gens as quickly as they can, and try and gen rush, because again, you're slower, and you initiating chases and following them through isn't what you want to do. You want to be able to surprise people and keep them on their toes, and then just like flank them, cut them off. But overall, that was a fun game. It's not that often that I actually get well, a couple of iridescent and a couple of gold medals, as you'll see here. But you don't need to camp, you don't need to slug, you don't need to tunnel. Just take your opportunities as they come. Just before I go, I thought I'd give a quick rundown of the perks that I was using there, plus the reason that I was using said perks. So I'll just really assume that you know what each of the perks actually does, and I'll just explain as to why I was using them, or am using them. And they're not really all that fundamentally different to the perks I would use on a normal Michael game. But one thing you really need to do when you're playing Tier 1 Michael, or Scratched Mirror Michael, is hinder the enemy team as much as you can. So that's what I want to do, but I've also got some countermeasures in place if the game goes horribly early to mid. And it'll all collapse, and you're left with whatever's, you know, endgame. So I have Franklin's Demise, which of course is just a great perk. It allows me to just completely hinder the enemy team's ability to stun me, if possible, to heal themselves efficiently, to repair generators efficiently, or to possibly even sabotage hooks. Even on the rare occasion, even though it never happens anymore, unlock the hatch. So it's pretty damn good. No-ed is, again, like I mentioned, if the early to mid game just goes horribly, it gives me a chance to get my own back on the enemy team, on the survivors, and you know, that little 4% increased movement speed bonus is massive to Michael. He's been on the fat bastard Subway diet, which of course wouldn't actually work, kids. If you ever watch Austin Powers and you think Subway would be a good method of losing weight, no. Shouldn't have brought kids up actually when I'm talking about Subway. But yeah, afflicts the enemy team with expose when the exit gates are powered, so very nice, especially for a very slow boy like Mikey. Scourge Hook Pain Resonance and Scourge Hook Gifted Pain. These are two Scourge Hooks, as you can see and tell. Basically 4 random hooks on the map become white, and they are turned into Scourge Hooks. And they have special effects applied to them if I hook a survivor on one of said white hooks. So, Pain Resonance, I believe, is better than Ruin now, because Ruin, in my opinion, is terrible now. It really is. My thinking behind why it's bad is because everyone and their granny is running with a boon build nowadays, or at least someone on the team with a boon build. So people are going to be looking for dull totems from the get-go, and of course they're going to come across your Scourge Hook. They're going to cleanse that bad boy, or even replace it, which is dumb. Don't replace it. Cleanse it. Get yourself the bonus points. Find another dull totem to put your boon on. But yeah, it's just nice. It knocks 15% of the progress off the gem with the most progress. Any survivors on that gem will scream, giving away the location, and also the gem will begin to regress. And there is no limit to the amount of times you can do this, unless of course you sacrifice somebody on it. And it disappears. At least, I do believe they disappear, don't they? They fall off, don't they? I had a lot of problems with things falling off recently. Lastly, we have Gifted Pain. It's a Scourge Hook as well, so, you know. And this is one I'm trying out because, like I said at the very start, you want to hinder the survivors as much as possible. And this will do that. So, one of the things I try to do when I'm playing this tier with Michael is I try to hit as many of the survivors as possible. So, each of them, I try to give a unique hit to each one of the survivors as early in as I can. So this perk will give me the most benefit. So I'll just read it so you can get a sense of what I'm getting at here. When a survivor is unhooked from a Scourge Hook, they suffer from the Hemorrhage and Mangle status effect until fully healed. The first time the survivor is healed, they suffer a 9% penalty to healing and repairing actions until injured again. So, because they suffer from Hemorrhage and Mangled, there's more of an incentive there for them to heal themselves. When they are healing themselves, if they have a medkit, for example, that is helping Franklin's, if I haven't knocked the medkit out of their hand successfully enough times to get rid of the charges, to get rid of their charges, of course, if they're healing themselves. Also, if one person heals themselves, and there's somebody else that needs healing, and they're going to be doing that healing, because they have already healed themselves, or somebody else has healed them, they're already getting a 9% penalty to the healing. So the person they're going to heal next is going to be healed more slowly, which benefits me in the long run. And this will happen a couple of times, or a few times in fact, over the course of a game. Because if I'm able to hit everyone once, that's 4 people at some point healing 9% slower and repairing generators 9% slower. And 9% in most other games doesn't seem like a lot. I mean, even the 4% increased movement speed from No-ed doesn't seem like a lot. That's the thing about Dead by Daylight. All these small incremental buffs really don't seem like much for someone that doesn't play the game all that often. Or even to me, at like the 800 hour mark, sorry, I didn't feel like 4% was a lot. But it is. It makes the difference. That's the thing about a lot of these movement speed buffs in Dead by Daylight, is that they can make all the difference when you need them. So, people repairing more slowly or healing more slowly, yeah, it benefits you to no end. So, in short, I went about trying to debilitate the enemy team as much as possible, but also leave room towards the end, where if it hasn't been going as I've wanted it to go, that I can sort of have a comeback. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, you know what to do. I'm going to be putting more of these out. If there's anything you'd like to know, or anything you'd like for me to cover in a video, then by all means comment down below. But just like always, hope you're all doing great. Hope the world hasn't got you down too much. And like always, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.